If you've been caught cheating, this video is for you. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. In this video, I want to share with you, first of all, the reason why people cheat. It's not what you think. Number two, I want to talk about the brain performance pattern that drives infidelity. Again, you might not be aware of this. At the same time, I'm going to talk about emotional maturity levels and the journey from ego to your true authentic self. Lastly, just like in every video that I provide here, I'm going to give you your brain hack strategy for the week, because if you've been caught cheating, there's work to be done to become your true authentic self and never be in this position again. So let's dig in. But before we do, the first thing I want you to know is that people who cheat or people who act out sexually, they exist on a continuum, like anything in life, right? So the continuum goes from 1 to 10. In this video, I'm talking to people who don't necessarily want to cheat. They have been caught up in the idea of getting the highest amount of pleasure, but it's at the sake of the relationship or the lifestyle that they want to have. Sex addiction's a real thing. So what I'm talking about is sex addiction, not a person who is a serial cheater and doesn't necessarily care about the situation. That's the person at the top of the continuum. I'm talking about people down at the bottom. So if you're a serial cheater, first of all, I doubt you're here. And secondarily, this video is not for you. So first, let's talk about number one. Why do people cheat? For the most part, cheating and infidelity is born out of a dopamine dependency. Your brain is looking for higher level stimulation than you are getting with your partner. And it does that because it's conditioned in the wrong direction. Porn plays a very pivotal role for most people in being a driving force in the wrong direction. So it works like this. If you found porn when you were young, it conditioned your brain to get very high levels of dopamine without really having to work for it. Not having to interact with someone, not having to woo a person, not having to have it be a consensual, mutually enjoyable, pleasurable, joy and connection producing experience. Your brain is trained to get high levels of dopamine from a click. Now, after you stay in that lifestyle of clicking for high levels of pleasure, those clicks don't do it anymore. And so, what happens internally in many people is they have the idea that they want to try some of the things that they've seen on the screen for themselves. And the reason that idea comes to them is because there's no longer the amount of dopamine from the screen to make you feel good or to not feel bad. That is how the use of something becomes a compulsion, becomes an addiction. So first you start doing something, then there's tolerance building, which means you don't get the same high as you used to. At that point also it becomes a compulsion. It's something you feel the need to do. It's no longer about choice making. You are being pulled towards that action while you're also being pushed. So the pull is the high level of dopamine that you've been conditioned to seek out. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of motivation, more, and pleasure. I'm sure you see where I'm going with this. It motivates you back for more and more pleasure, and it drives you into new behaviors. Now, I work with so many people as a sex addiction recovery coach that find themselves in this position. They never meant to act out and to either pay for sex or to be with another person outside of their relationship. But they find themselves in the position of being pulled towards it for those higher levels of dopamine. And many times it's moving towards an emotionally unhealthy partner so they can do the sexual acts that they have consumed in pornography because their emotionally healthy partner doesn't want to, and for good reason. So hopefully you're connecting the dots of why cheating happens. In one nutshell, for a relatively healthy person who has fallen into a sexual compulsion or sexual addiction, It is the pull of the high levels of dopamine that have been linked to hypersexuality for a long time. In the International Classification of Diseases, the most current version that's out, this is identified as compulsive sexual behavior disorder, the compulsion to go back to sex to feel good or to not feel bad. The underpinnings are neurological dysregulation. That's what we're going to talk about next in number 2. So let's move to what's the brain performance pattern that drives cheating or infidelity. This brain pattern is one that I call drained brain. And you can see on the image that I'm putting up right now that it is a brain that is on fire with high levels of artificial numbing or calm, which is called alpha. Alpha is the medium speed in your brain. When your brain is regulated, it's designed so that throughout your day and your life, you can go hang out on the couch with your homies and enjoy a chat and relax and have all the thinking come down. You're not tired, so you're not falling asleep, but you're not stressed out and you're not thinking. That's how you get into alpha in a healthy way. Alpha response or an increase in alpha is healthy when it happens in circadian rhythms across your day and your life. The weekend, you go chill with your besties like I like to do, and your brain recovers from a busy work week because it's able to be relaxed. But now if you hit the easy button from porn, or if you start acting out with other human beings that you're essentially objectifying, you're using them as an object for high levels of your pleasure, what happens is your brain gets flooded with dopamine and it shifts artificially into this neutral and it becomes ultra calm, which is what porn and acting out sexually is designed to do. It's designed to help you escape from your reality quick. It's very good at doing that. Unfortunately, it will jam up your brain gears in neutral. So many people get stuck in neutral, and in neutral, it creates what is called the narcissistic bubble. The narcissistic bubble is you have the distorted ideas from your ego that tell you, go find more pleasure. There's more than just the screen. Go find somebody in the world that you can do those things with. And it becomes a driving force because this numbing, this artificial neutral, basically decreases your ability to make good decisions. It decreases your impulse control and your ability to control those compulsions. It becomes a push into the behavior that is pulling you. So, this dysregulated, dysfunctional brain pattern is a major driver behind acting out sexually. That's why my heart feels for not only you if you've been caught cheating, but of course for your partner, because nobody wants this situation. In the light of day, I have had calls from men who cheated on their partner days or weeks before, and they're ill about it. They're not excited about it. The excited people are the number 10 at the beginning of this video. The people who are ill about it, and they're like, I can't believe I'm blowing up my life by wanting to act out, whether it's paid or unpaid, hooking up, they blow their lives up and then they're stuck in this neutral, and sometimes they can't even process the gravity of it. So, to move to the idea of the personal transformation journey from ego pleasure seeking to your true authentic self who gets back on purpose in your relationship, in your work, in your hobbies, decreases all of that artificial alpha and gets back to the green zone, optimal, healthy brain pattern that, by the way, you may never have used. And the reason you may never have used it is you likely found porn when you were an adolescent. So if you found porn when you were 10, the seeds of sex addiction were planted then in your young, unripened mind. And what happened over time, all the way to 26 years old, young men's brains developed to 26, women's to 24. Over that time, if you were reinforcing the pattern of going towards sex for high levels of pleasure, you've reinforced those neural pathways over and over and over, which continues to push you towards those behaviors. So my point is, you may never have used the optimal green zone brain pattern. The reason I call it the green zone, and I'll put up an image right now, is a healthy brain is all green. It means your brain can slide in and out of the gears that it needs to and that it would be using for calm focus, to be stressed a little when it's time to be stressed, but then you can come down from it, and then to shift you into a beautiful night's sleep so that your brain can recover. That's what the green zone does for you. It drives you back into your life every day, not escaping your life for more dopamine. Okay, let's transition to number 3. Number 3 is, what is your brain hack strategy? So to be able to take this personal transformation journey from ego to self, what needs to happen is neurological regulation, brain regulation, taking your brain out of that dysfunctional pattern as quickly as you can to begin to recover your life and begin to repair the rupture that's happened in your relationship. We need to shift all that alpha down, and we need to decrease the underlying anxiety that likely that alpha is masking for you. When that happens, now you're prepared to do everything you need to do to break the links in the chains that you have to sexuality for mood regulation. Without regulating your brain, it can be very difficult to unlink your brain from hypersexuality. To me, it's a fundamental necessary step. And at this point, I've helped hundreds of men be able to shift their brain out of artificial drain brain alpha into the green zone. So, if you have been caught cheating, it's not time for the slow boat to China. It's time to regulate your brain as quickly and efficiently as possible so you can begin to repair what has been broken that you truly, truly want. Most people want their relationship. They've messed up because of compulsive sexual behavior disorder, which in fact is a real thing. So, as we regulate your brain, you're able to get back on purpose in your life. Now, the first step to do that is something that's called a QEEG brain map. The 2 images that I've shared in this video are examples of QEEG brain maps. The one that's all red in alpha, that's drain brain. It leads to erectile dysfunction. It leads to sexual acting out at higher levels. It leads to sexual arousal dysfunction of other types. It leads to a compulsive porn habit. It leads to lack of motivation, anxiety, depression, porn-induced ADHD. It doesn't lead to anything good. We need to bring that alpha down, and it leads to the optimal brain pattern of the green zone, where you will feel and perform better, and you'll be able to get back on purpose and repair your relationship. The brain map shows you what your brain, yours specifically, is doing and how far away that gap is between drain brain and the green zone. So if you're interested, please go over to drtrishleigh.com. It says work with Dr. Trish Leigh, first step, QEG brain map. We get to meet in a Zoom. You can take your brain map at home. It's very easy, and it's all scientifically proven to be efficacious in being able to show how your brain is performing and what it needs to heal. Go over to Dr. Trish Leigh. I would love to help you get your brain on track and get your relationship back on track. Okay, until next time, control your brain or it'll control you.